Okay, so the only thing left for me to do is to pack up the pack. What I'm gonna do is put in everything that I need for the Fisher chimneys tomorrow, and then I will just set aside all my Northridge stuff in a pile in the van, so that way I can just pull them out and then throw it in. But I gotta pack my pack for all the stuff I'm gonna use all 6 days. First thing I'll do is the med kit, throw that in the bottom because hopefully you won't need that. And then I keep one waste bag and the toilet paper more accessible. All this other stuff in the bottom. Sleeping bag helps pad out the bottom and then also kind of protect the bottom of the pack a bit. So I start at the toes here. Stuff that one on in. I don't tend to use compressors for my sleeping bag, and that's unless it's a 0-degree bag or lower. If it's a 30 or a 15-degree bag, I don't really use the stuff sack that it comes with. I just pass it through the bottom. But once it gets fatter, like 0 degrees or more, that's when it's kind of nice to actually have the compression sack to keep the sleeping bag compressed. Either way, so that's in the bottom. Take my sleeping pad, throw that in. Raincoat, not expecting rain that first day. If I was expecting rain, or if it's an early season trip, I do put that more near the top. And now I got like a good baseline here. I can throw some of my gear. So like, let's keep one Alpine draw on my harness for the way up. The Fisher chimneys, you start with using this equipment, but I think it's worth putting it a bit deeper in the pack because you have like a 5 or 6 mile walk up before you start climbing, and it just helps with carrying the pack. So I'm gonna stick those down lower, and then I'll just pull out whatever I need to get to those for when we move on to the chimneys. Next thing I'll throw in is my sack. I don't pack the food in here and then put it in my backpack. I pack all the food separately. It just packs better that way, so I can just throw that in there. I won't need that until camp. Other things I won't need until camp are my bowl and spoon. I sort of put the spoon along the spine so that way it doesn't break. The bowl is what it is, so I can just shove that one in. Buff, I don't really use the buff until on the glacier on the snow, so I can throw that one in. Another thing is my charging battery thing and my cord. I don't use those until camp either, so I can just put those down. My goal ultimately is to try to keep the hood of the pack as clutter-free as possible. Of course, there are a few things that I need to put in there, like my sunglasses. I put my headlamp in there. The headlamp can actually go in the body of the pack. My InReach, if I need it for whatever reason, and it's also expensive, so I want to keep it safe. And then my knife, which I may need, but most likely won't need. So knife and headlamp can go in the body. The headlamp I'm a little bit worried about putting in the body because the last time it got turned on. So I'm actually gonna just keep it from getting turned on by the hood. And then maybe I'll put the extra wag bag and the toilet paper in the hood as well, in case any emergencies should arise. So I have a good amount of bulky stuff in there. I want to compress around it. So this is the time where I'll put my bivy sack in here, and I will keep the poles in the pole bag. That doesn't matter what tent I use. I keep the poles in the pole bag to help protect the poles. I think that's totally worth it, but I'll just slide those along the side. Bivy sack. This thing's like super small. I take it out of the bag and then stuff it in. There we go. Helps fill up nooks and crannies and everything. Let's put the other part of the harness in there. So for putting my harness in the pack, I have just like my harness kit roughly spread throughout this thing, just so I don't have to like dig around in my pack. But it's just the same kit: gloves, little crevasse rescue, some anchor stuff, and lockers. So that's in the pack right there. On the walk out, since it doesn't really matter as much about organization, I actually unclip them individually and stuff them in, because it all packs better the more smaller bundles you have. See now? Other pair of gloves, in they go. And now I have to pad out that section. So that's a good time for the puffy. Shove that thing in. I can take my ice axe and I can put it on the side of the pack. And yeah, right now I have the pick and the spike protector on it, but that's just to protect my stuff in my car. When it comes time to actually start walking with this thing, I take those off. Crampons, same deal. I just need to find some way to actually put these things together. But I can just stick these in this front pocket right here. A lot of times, and maybe I'll do that with this setup, I will put the crampons inside the main body of the pack. I'm just careful to make sure that they don't stick on anything. A lot of my crampons are actually not super sharp anymore. But with these ones, since they're kind of hard to bundle up, I will actually carry them in the bag also. All my other crampons that are a bit more, you know, one piece like this, I'll just bundle them up together the usual way of on top of each other, and then I'm okay with putting that inside the pack. Last few items. Maybe I'll carry the propane, making my dude is going to carry the stove and the drum here. I got my last fleece layer. All right, really the only thing I'm missing now is my water bottle, which is now in there. And then I'm just missing my food. And so my food, I do tend to put a lot of that stuff on top just to help protect it a bit more. My helmet, also the food can kind of crowd around my helmet, so that way a lot of times I can actually fit it inside the pack. But this pack has some pretty good attachments on the side to put the helmet on if I have to put it on the outside. I will also put whatever food I want to eat that day, and I'll probably buy a sandwich in the morning and stuff like that. I'll put that in my hood, so that way it's fast access and I don't have to, pretty much all my food I'm going to eat for dinner that night and into the next days will go inside the pack, obviously. The picket, I'll be carrying a picket. I do have an interesting setup, which I kind of like with these pickets, where I have a non-locker and a locker. Those give me kind of two different options. But my client will carry one of the pickets, because like, why would I carry it if I don't have to? And I'm just gonna strap this to the side right here. Make sure I'm gonna pass this strap through. Gotta mess around with it. This carabiner. So close-up view, just pass that strap through the top carabiner so that way it won't slide out. So yeah, there's my pack for the first trip. I still have a ton of space in here because I don't have food or anything, but also this is a bit of a bigger pack for 45 if you ask me. Again, I will use my Warthog most of the time for one-off Fisher chimney trips. It just is a bit easier to climb with and everything. But the nice part about this one is with all this extra space on the walk out, I could probably put the rope inside of the pack instead of having it on the outside. That's actually really nice to just have one unit of a pack going up with you. Either way, it's a really good pack for this whole setup. I have to think further ahead than just one trip on this one. And now, because I have this one basically packed, all I have to do is rip out that metal gear and then stick all this metal gear in here, and then everything else can be the same. So it's all about efficiency when you're linking these alpine climbs together. I know maybe not many people do that, but I just wanted to show you about how I can prepare myself for success and just focus on actually climbing these routes instead of messing around with all my gear. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments. If you want to climb with me, you can contact me through my Instagram. That's in the show notes there. And I'll see you in the next one. What would you say was better, Shuckson or this route?
This is better. I like the ice climbing.
Yeah, you like Baker more?
Shuckson felt dicey on the chimneys.
Oh yeah, the rock.
I did like the rock climbing on the pyramid.
Yeah, you can even see the chimneys around.
Yeah.
See like that crater, the